all started off back in about 2006, 2007. I didn't own any exotic cars, but I had access to cars through family and friends that I knew, and they would let me borrow them from time to time. One day I kind of just had an idea. I said the same way that I grew up loving exotic cars, there had to be children that wanted that same thing. And I started calling up different organizations saying, hey, I don't own any, but I have access to tons of exotic cars. If ever you have a kid that wants to go in one, let me know. And this went on for months. I kept trying to get people. And one day I got a call back that there was a little girl who was 8 years old, and she was going to be home in between her chemo treatments. And her wish was to go in a Lamborghini. They bring this little girl in a wheelchair, they bring her out, and she's looking down at the ground, she's all sad, and she looks up, she's this bright yellow Lamborghini convertible right in front of her house. And you see that entire kid's face lights up. And we wheel her out, get her to the car, put the top down, and as soon as she gets into her house, the mom starts hysterically crying. She's like, my daughter was diagnosed with cancer at the age of 4. She had over 20 surgeries. She got an infection which caused her to become paralyzed, which is why she's in the wheelchair. She's like, it's the first time I've seen my daughter smile in 4 years since she was diagnosed. And I was like at that moment, I was like, the impact that we could have on the child, the family, I want to try to do it more often. And I did this for years. And I remember hearing one day on the news about this guy in Baltimore. His name was Lenny Robinson. I never met him, but I heard about him and I thought it was an amazing thing. He was in his Lamborghini Batmobile, dressed as Batman, and he got pulled over on the side of the highway by a cop, and the video went viral. It was all about him going to visit the children, and I never heard of anyone else kind of doing what I was doing, and I would just love that. It was an amazing thing. And I think a couple years later, unfortunately, I heard he was on the way to visit a kid or coming back from a kid at night. His Lamborghini broke down on the side of the road, and he got out, and a car didn't see him, ran him over, and he died. At that moment, I never even met him, but I was like, I loved what he was doing, and I wanted to continue his vision. So I was like, I wanted to become Batman, to keep his memory alive. There was a 5-year-old child that was coming out of the hospital in between chemo treatments, actually on his birthday. And his wish was to be Batman. So I was like, fine, so I went out and I bought a nice Batman costume, but the second part of his wish was to meet Batman in a Batmobile. I couldn't get a Batmobile because there's nowhere to go, so I ended up finding a shop in Oceanside called Impressive Auto Body. And they wrapped the car and they put in Batman carpeting and decals and all these different things, kind of made a makeshift Batmobile. And we went out and surprised that kid, and ever since then, I teamed up with different precincts, NYPD, Nassau County PD, tons of different organizations and stuff like that. And together we visited a little north of 13,000 children so far. And it's been an amazing thing. It's not just about me. It started off as me for the foundation organization, but since then we have a little north of 30 volunteers, different people, different costumes. They all come when they're available. No one gets paid. This is all volunteer. So people come when they're available. People have family and stuff like that. The camera crew, the amount of time that goes into editing, like I said, for all the videos and all that, people you don't see behind the camera. But there's a lot of people involved with this. It's kind of like a movement to be inspired, to give back. It really doesn't take a lot. I get a lot of messages every day from people that say, hey, I wish I could do it. I don't have a Lamborghini. I don't have a Ferrari. Most people in the world don't. But you don't need a Ferrari to go ahead and give back. It could be something as simple as holding the door open, smiling, saying good morning. It doesn't have to be anything huge. To you, it might seem something small, but to the guy that's receiving it, you don't know how bad their day is going. That one little thing could change their entire outlook.